Hi, and a huge welcome to Steve's Kitchen, and a big thank you to you, Marcel, for requesting a Cuban sandwich. Now, I'm not just going to take two slices of bread and put them together, but I'm actually going to make Cuban bread as well. And I've simplified the recipe so you can follow it at home. I really think a good Cuban sandwich has to have Cuban bread in it. So, Cubans around the world, I hope you'll agree with me, and I hope I do this some justice. Please give me the thumbs up down below if you are enjoying the show. Let's get on, make the bread, and make the sandwich. Into a mixing bowl, 1 1/4 cups of warm water, 2 teaspoons of white or raw sugar, 2 teaspoons of instant dried yeast. Now that's the fast reacting yeast. Give it a little mix through. Cover and set aside in a warm area to let the yeast bubble and froth. So after about 20 minutes, you're getting this foam starting to settle on top. Now we need 500 grams, that's about a pound, of strong flour or bread flour. I'm just going to add that over the top of the water. And then using a fork, I'm going to start drawing the moisture into the bread flour. And at the same time, I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons of salt. As the flour starts to absorb the moisture, you can then take the fork away and start using your hands to draw together the dough. And at this point it should still be a little bit crumbly. Now what makes Cuban bread really delicious is the unique addition of lard. We've got about 1/4 cup of lard, which I'm just going to soften in the microwave. Then I'm going to add this softened lard into the dough. And this is going to sort of combine the flour together now and make a beautiful soft bread flour. Now of course you can do this with the stand mixer, but I love to do this by hand. Now with that lard in there, you'll see that the bread dough is starting to pull away and leave the bowl clean. At this point, I'm going to take it onto a surface and I'm going to start to knead this for a good 10 minutes. And what you'll notice as you're kneading it, the dough will get softer and silkier. Now 2 comments really about this dough making. If you're used to making bread dough, you will love the silky texture of this. It's absolutely delicious. And secondly, a lot of people are going to say to me, do you need to use lard to make this bread? Yes, you do. If you don't use lard, you're not making Cuban bread. And after 10 minutes, you've got this unique Cuban dough. It's so silky, so springy. I'm going to pop that back in the bowl now. But first, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil and pop the dough in there and just roll it around to coat it. So I'm just going to cover that over now and put it aside in a warm area for at least an hour, maybe 2, until it's doubled in volume. So 2 hours later, my dough has risen beautifully and doubled in size, and look at the elasticity in that. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to take that out, pop it onto a warm surface, a wooden surface preferred, and knock the air out. Punch it down and knock all the air out of the dough. Then I'm just going to divide my dough up into 2, and I sprinkle the surface with a little flour just to stop the dough from sticking, because I'm going to push this and roll this out to a square or an oblong. And it's good at this point to coat the dough in flour and then start to use a rolling pin and just roll this out. So with a combination of rolling and stretching, we're pulling our dough out to a sort of oblong shape like this, and we're going to be making something very similar to a French baguette, but it won't stay round like the French baguette. It will flatten slightly. So when you're happy with the shape, I'm just going to turn that dough over so we've got the rough side this side, and I'm going to start rolling the dough into a roll, but I'm pinching and tensioning the surface of the dough as I go. And if you like, you can just wet your fingers down and just turn these ends over and pull them into nice sort of square ends. The next stage is to take a baking tray and sprinkle over some coarse semolina, and then we're just going to lift our bread onto there. Now with a traditional Cuban bread, they use a palm frond to make an indentation, a little line across the bread, but I've seen many people use a shoelace or a piece of cord like this. So I've soaked this cord in water, and we're just going to lay it across and just gently push it into the dough. Now I need to set this aside for 45 minutes to an hour to let it rise, and a great idea is to pop it inside a plastic bag like this. Just cover it over to keep the dough from drying out, and then just pull the plastic away so it doesn't stick to the dough. Now my Cuban breads have risen beautifully. It's been about an hour. I'm just going to brush some water over the top. Now people are going to ask me, what is the shoelace or what is the piece of cord for? Well, the original Cuban breads, they have like a palm leaf going across them, which cracks the surface of the bread as it bakes. And I'd read that this is probably the best way, if you can't get hold of palm leaves, just to put a damp shoestring across the top as it bakes. So now my oven has preheated to 200 degrees Celsius, that's 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And these are going to go in for 18 to 20 minutes. Now I want to keep an eye, I want a beautiful golden brown surface on them. One other thing I will be doing, 5 minutes after they've been in the oven, I'm just going to pull the oven door open and I'm going to baste them again with a little more water. It's going to give us a lovely crisp surface to the bread. Now the Cuban bread is out of the oven. Look at that, it smells delicious. And see that beautiful crack that's come down the middle there? I'm going to leave those on the rack to cool down and then we're going to make a Cuban sandwich. So if you just joined me to learn how to make Cuban bread, well, your video is finished now. Please put the thumbs up down there, subscribe, stay in touch. But if you join me to see the Cuban sandwich, stay tuned straight after this or click this bread now and you can see this wonderful bread turn into a fantastic Cuban sandwich. Be good.